welcome to today's On This Day in Tudor History with me, Claire Ridgway, author of On This Day in Tudor History, which has served as inspiration for these daily talks. Okay, now it's actually my son's birthday today, so I can't really bring an execution to you on this day because I think that he wouldn't really like that. So happy birthday, Joel. But on this day in Tudor history, the 3rd of August 1553, perhaps there was an execution somewhere, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the newly proclaimed Queen, Mary I, because it was on this day that she rode with her younger half-sister Elizabeth from Wanstead to Aldgate to be greeted by the City of London as its new official queen. Now, we're fortunate that we have primary source accounts of this entry. Chronicler Charles Risley describes Mary's appearance that day, and it just sounds wonderful. He writes, her gown of purple velvet, French fashion, with sleeves of the same, her kirtle purple satin, all thick set with goldsmith's work and great pearl, with her 4 sleeves of the same, set with rich stones, with a rich bowdrick of gold pearl, and stones about her neck, and a rich billiment of stones and great pearl on her hood. Her palfrey that she rode on, richly trapped with gold, embroidered to the horse's feet. Oh, that sounds such an amazing sight. Wouldn't you have loved to have seen that? Now, Mary was welcomed by the Lord Mayor of London, who presented her with the sceptre pertaining to the office. And after thanking the Lord Mayor and the aldermen for their gentleness, Mary handed the sceptre back to the mayor and entered the city, followed by Sir Anthony Browne, Elizabeth, her half-sister, the Duchess of Norfolk, the Marquess of Exeter, and various ladies. In front of the Queen processed the Lord Mayor with the sceptre and the Earl of Arundel, who was bearing the sword. This royal party passed St. Botolph's Church, where Mary was greeted by the children of Christ's Hospital. Then they processed through Aldgate, which was described as being decorated with arras and streamers. They went past Leadenhall, down Gracechurch Street, up Fenchurch Street, down Mark Lane, and on to the Tower of London. There at the Tower, Mary was met by Sir John Gage, who was constable of the Tower at the time, and along with Thomas Bruges as well. They welcomed her to the Tower. After entering the Tower, Mary encountered the Duke of Norfolk, Bishop Stephen Gardiner, and Edward Courtenay. Now, these men were all prisoners at the Tower, and they knelt in front of the Queen and asked for her to pardon them of their crimes. And she saluted them and she bid them to rise up. Now, Risley goes on to describe the City of London as it celebrated the accession of its new Catholic Queen, who was, of course, the daughter of their beloved bluff King Hal. I'm not sure whether they managed to wear rose-tinted spectacles and think of Henry VIII's reign as this wonderful reign, and now we've got Mary and good old bluff King Hal. Now we've got his daughter Mary. How wonderful it is. Perhaps the people of London weren't quite aware of things. But Charles Risley writes, all the streets in London, from Aldgate up to Leadenhall and so the Tower, were richly hanged with clothes of arras and silk. And we've got my church bells ringing out for this procession through London to the Tower of London. The streets gravelled all the way, and the citizens standing at rails with their streamers and banners of every company or occupation standing at their rails, every company in their best liveries with their hoods. These bells are going mad this morning. Also, there were 4 great stages between Aldgate and the Tower where clerks and musicians stood playing and singing goodly ballads which rejoiced the Queen's Highness greatly. Also, there was such a terrible and great shot of guns shot within the tower, and all about the tower wharf, that the like hath not been heard, for they never ceased shooting from the time her highness entered in at Aldgate till she came to Mark Lane End, which was like great thunder, so it had been like to an earthquake. And all the streets by the way as her highness rode, standing so full of people, shouting and crying, Jesus save her grace, with weeping tears for joy, that the like was never seen before. And it's obvious that the people were happy to see their new queen, Queen Mary. Nobody seems to have given a thought to the fate of Lady Jane Grey, the young woman who had been queen from the 6th of July to the 19th of July after having been named Edward VI's heir in his device for the succession. Jane was imprisoned in the Tower, and of course she would finally be executed for high treason in February 1554. She was forgotten, but I don't think that's strange. The people of London would not have known Jane. She would have been a stranger to them, but they would have known Mary, and they would have known Elizabeth as well. They would have known these women who they would have viewed as princesses and Mary as queen. So they would have been happy that Mary was being King Henry VIII's successor. So that's what happened on this day in Tudor history in 1553. We have a very lavish procession through the streets of London to the Tower of London, Mary and Elizabeth, Elizabeth being part of that procession too. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow with another On This Day in Tudor History event. You can subscribe to this channel by clicking round about there. You can hit the bell to be notified as well, and you can of course give this video a like if you've enjoyed it. But I will be back tomorrow with another Tudor event for you. See you then. Bye bye.